Hello and welcome to another episode of Run Till You're Done. This week's guest brings another great story about their running journey. Not only are they a runner, but raise awareness on congenital heart disease, something very close to my co-host heart, pun intended. It also happens to coincide with Congenital Heart Disease Awareness Week. Thank you and welcome to the show, Laura Jones.
Hi, thank you for having me.
No problem. So, first questions first. How did you get into not necessarily running, but outdoor sports?
I actually got my heart diagnosis when I was about 28. So it was actually missed at my birth, and it was picked up when I had pneumonia. So I was like 28-ish, and after this I found myself stuck in a bit of a rut. I was feeling quite down about it and a bit shocked, and I sort of lost my way in life a little bit. And so, because my dad has always ran his whole life, he sort of approached me and said, "I've got an idea. If you run a race with me, I will buy you a pair of Inov8s." I was like, "What are Inov8s?" Yeah. And because I was completely clueless at this point. And he showed me his shoes, and we looked on the website. I was like, "Oh, these are really cool shoes." And I thought, "All right, then I'll do it." So his sort of goal was really to help me and get me out of this rut after what I'd sort of just learned. So I thought, okay, let's just go for it. So there was a winter league race coming up at a place called Sebba, and Dad was running it, and he said, "Let's do this one." So I turned up at this race, didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was in these terrible road shoes trying to run an off-road course. So I was slipping all over the place, didn't have the right gear whatsoever. And all I thought was in my head was, if I just get round this race, just don't come last, then that's like a big achievement for me. So that's what I did. And I didn't come last. I was about 10th from last. So I was happy with that. And that was like my first experience really of running off-road as an adult. Because I did it as a child, all through my childhood into late teens, and then stopped when I was about 17. So it was a good sort of 10-year gap, really.
And did you not have any heart problems or it? Well, we'll get onto that a bit later, but any inclination that something was going on when you were younger? Did this just come totally out of the blue when you were older?
Yeah, so no signs whatsoever. I'm really lucky because I've only started now to become symptomatic. So my whole childhood, me and my two brothers, we were brought up living in the lake. So every weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we'd be walking miles. We walked all the way in Wrights. We walked in Scotland. We walked in Wales. We ran the little fell races, cross country. It was just like full on active childhood. My mum's idea of after school fun was that she'd pick us up, we'd drive to a water called Rydal, and we'd swim like across Rydal and to the little island, and sort of we thought nothing of it. We just thought this is just what you do. So yeah, luckily I never had any symptoms or signs of a heart condition whatsoever. But whether or not that's due to my parents creating such an active childhood, and whether or not that gave me, I don't know, some strength somehow, or it would have happened anyway, I just don't know.
You're saying that your dad was going to buy you a pair of Inov8s. Did he buy you a pair of Inov8s?
He did. He bought me Inov8 212, they were called. And yeah, they were my favourite pair. I've still got them, I've kept them, but I run them into the ground. There's nothing left of them now.
Is that
yeah.
I think I've had a pair of them, and
Yeah.
I can't remember if are they X Talons?
Yes, ex-Talon,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, ex-Talon 212.
Yeah. So they're quite a big lug. So you're good for off-road running.
Yeah, brilliant for off-road running. And I've got my son a couple of pairs of 212s now as well. So I'm keeping it going.
And you've had a relationship. I don't know whether that involves sponsorship with Inov8. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so once I started doing the running, I thought, oh, I might create an Instagram page, because it's quite motivating for yourself, isn't it? If you go and run and then you post your run, post your views. And because I had these Inov8s, I thought, oh, I'll tag them, thinking nothing of it. And I kept going and kept tagging them. And then I got approached one day by a guy called Inov8 who works Inov8, sorry, a guy called Adrian who works for Inov8, which is based just, the office is down the road at Staveley from me, it's just about 10 minutes. Yeah, and he approached me and had said, would I be interested in being in this campaign with a guy called Jay Martin. Have you heard of Jay? He was on SAS Who Dares Wins.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Have you? Yeah, you might have seen a picture. You might recognise him if you see a picture.
Yeah.
So I went and had a meeting and discussed that with them. And basically it was a 3-day adventure around the Lake District, and it was filming their new Rocklight Inov8 boots. So it was me and Jay, and I thought, oh, how am I going to keep up with a guy off the SAS? But I just about managed. But yeah, it was a great experience, and it just sort of went from there, really.
And what does it, when you say it went from there, what does that involve? Were you going out and doing?
Yeah. So it involves I did lots of photo shoots, campaigns for new hiking boots mainly, because I've never been what you'd call a top runner. I just ran for fun and because I enjoyed it, and because it gave me the mental freedom, really. From after finding out about the heart condition, it was a way for me to feel stress free. So I never advertised any of the running shoes as such, just more on my channel. But I got to meet some great people. I met James Forrest, and he's like a record breaking ultra hiker. So that was good. And obviously I met Jay off the SAS, so that was good as well. But yeah, so it was mainly I went to Glisdale Forest as well and advertised some of their trails in Inov8 gear. So I did some runs around that area, so that was nice. But I mainly just promote the Inov8 clothing and shoes just off my channel.
Okay.
But with since you done that first race as an adult with your dad, you say the running is just for fun purely, and you sound a very, very active person. What would you say, do you have a favourite thing that you like to do, or do you just mix it all up?
I think I just mainly mix it all up, but now I have to think a little bit more. Now my heart condition has reached a more serious stage, so I can't just say to my kids, oh, come on, we're going to go and swim in Buttermere or, wherever, because the water temperature would be too cold for me, and I can't risk the shock of it on my body. So we'll still swim, but then I'll just wait until, say, May time. So I just sort of switch things up a little bit. I can't run anymore, unfortunately, at the moment, but I can after the surgery. So my main thing at the moment is probably walking, fast walking, because I'm having to keep up with the kids on the bikes, and and my son, he trains a lot during the week, so I go along to his training, and I'll I'll hike up the hill and sort of stand halfway whilst he's running up and down it. So things like that. Yeah, I just have to think a little bit more about what I'm doing. But that's fine. I can still do plenty, so that's fine.
Well, we've gotten on to the main subject that was about the congenital heart condition, which we've had lots of spoilers. You've obviously said that you have a condition. I don't know how open I've been with people on the podcast, but I myself have got a congenital heart condition. I've had surgery about 4 or 5 years ago, and for me, I used to run no symptoms before, and then I gradually got more and more symptoms, and then I went to see the doctors about it, and long story short, it's not about me, it's about you. So how did
you, what symptoms, sorry, did you get when you were running?
I started when I was running up. When I leave my house, I run up a hill to get to anywhere, basically. I live near the sea, and you've got to go uphill. I used to be able to run up it, no problem, and then gradually I was getting slower and slower, and then eventually I felt like I had a weight on my chest, and then it became a weight on my back and chest at the same time, so pushing in. As soon as I got up to the top of the hill, it all went away. And then after a while, it was like my daughter was born. I would sort of bend over to pick her up from her cot, and I would feel it when I was bending over, like that. It's just little things like that. And then looking back on it now, is like 10 years ago, when I was doing this race, I felt like that afterwards. That was probably because of that.
Probably,
At the time, I didn't think about it, but now thinking about it, it's like that was related. So, talking about you, what sort of symptoms were you getting?
So, I actually haven't had any symptoms until the last year or so, especially the last 6 months. And what happens is if I push it too much, I get hit with fatigue, like really awful fatigue, where there's just no escape from it, and all I'm left with really is just to lie on the sofa all day. It takes about a day to feel slightly normal again, and then next day I'm like, okay, we can carry on now. But that has got worse the last 6 months, where I find it hits me sooner. So I definitely can't run, or they told me don't run. But I remember just before I stopped running, same as you really, if I hit a hill or even just a slight incline, it felt like I was hitting a brick wall almost, and something was just like stopping me. I would have to break into a fast walk instead. So it creeps up on you, doesn't it, over time? But that's fine. I've lasted this long, whereas I know a lot of people with what I have, I think, can be really breathless, bad fatigue, they can get chest pains. So I think I've been let off lightly, to be honest.
So tell me about your experience about actually getting diagnosed. You were obviously fit and healthy beforehand, and you started getting the pains. How did you, like, what made you go to get diagnosed? I assume you went to a doctor.
Well, actually, what had happened was, me and my son Charlie, we got really sick with a nasty winter virus, and mine had turned into pneumonia. So I ended up where I'd passed out on the bathroom floor. And I was really struggling to breathe. So the next minute, I knew I was in an ambulance. And I had about a week in the hospital. And because of the pneumonia, they'd done an echo scan on my chest. And this is when it was picked up. And they said, oh, were you aware that you have a bicuspid aortic valve? I was like, what's that? I don't have one clue about the heart or how it works, or absolutely rubbish. I was like, no. And they said, oh, well, you've been born with this. It must have been missed at birth. So it was a bit of a shock. but I didn't have symptoms. It was just that the pneumonia had made it really difficult for me to breathe. And then, so in a way, I guess I should count myself lucky that I had the pneumonia, because I might have never picked up on it. And now, as it's developed, I've actually got an aneurysm in my aorta as well, which does put me at risk of sudden cardiac death. And so I am on the surgery list now. But if it hadn't have been picked up and I hadn't have been put on the surgery list, I might not be here in a couple of years' time. So I guess it's funny how life works sometimes, isn't it? How things, something negative turn into a positive.
It's like you were lucky that you were sick.
Yes.
It seems a bit weird. I also think it's funny that the doctor can turn around and go, here's this blah, 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 blah in Latin. Do you know that you've got it? I didn't even understand what you just said.
It's like, what?
So is there quite a lot of people that, I'm assuming like you got this diagnosis and you maybe done your research? I work in healthcare and we tell everybody don't Google anything, because the first thing you do is you Google everything.
Yeah.
Is there quite a lot of people that can live with this and never know that they have it?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I mean, if they're lucky like me and as well and don't have symptoms and maybe don't push their body to a limit, like they don't run and they just carry on with life. I think there is quite a lot of people that this can happen to, but I don't know how rare it is. How rare mine was to be missed at birth. I don't know. So I guess in a way though, I'm glad that it was missed at birth and picked up later on in life, because I think my parents might have put a limit on me. They might have been a bit worried. We might not have been hiking up Snowdon and, on Scafell. And I mean, for a weekend, we'd probably walk sort of 12, 13 miles as kids. And I think all that might have been stopped or lessened, or they might have not let me sort of be as free as I was. Because I guess I would have had appointments and scans and all through my childhood if it had been picked up. So it's sort of bittersweet, isn't it?
I think you got to think about it. It's like it probably wouldn't have been picked up unless you were pushing your body. But the reason why you've survived this long without any symptoms is because you're so fit and healthy. At least that's why I got sort of told about it. It's when I had surgery, I got told that I was the quickest person to be out of the hospital. I had the surgery on the Tuesday and I was home by the Friday. And that's because I was healthy, because I was fit, I was out doing stuff. So you'll be exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's
that's really good to know. Sorry, go on.
No, sorry. It was waddling about me. It's supposed to be about you. It's
interesting. It's good to know that you, because of this, you were in and out so quickly, because at the moment it's on my mind that the waiting list for surgery is up to 6 months, unless suddenly I deteriorate and then you get rushed in. But I'm quite happy to have the 6 months, because I'm thinking, well, I can use this time to keep myself fit and healthy and just try and get as strong and in a decent condition, so that when I do go in for surgery, hopefully I'll be out quick and my recovery will be quick as well. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, the one thing that I didn't appreciate beforehand is I brush my teeth twice a day as you're supposed to, but you don't appreciate that little things. I had an abscess in my tooth, and they were like, you're going in for heart surgery, that's coming out. It doesn't matter if it's a maybe, we can treat it or whatever. If you've got something wrong with your teeth because you don't look after your teeth, that's the primary route in for a thing called endocarditis, and that can affect your heart, and then that leads to a lot of complications. So look after your teeth. And it's just like looking after your body as a whole. You don't realize,
Yeah, the impact you don't realize, do you? No,
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize about the teeth thing either. And I have a letter from my surgeon who has specifically asked that at my next checkup, the dentist has to send a letter to
Yeah.
confirm that everything's healthy and fine. But I've been quite on top of, when I did my research after I found out, I've been quite on top of my teeth and making sure that I go to the dentist frequently, and anything that needs doing, I sort it as soon as possible. Because I didn't realize that it's links to infection, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It gets in the. I'm no doctor, so I can't say properly, but it gets in the lining of the heart, and that's where the infection starts. And I know somebody else that's had. I'm not going to scare you with what they've had, but it's just be healthy, and that goes for everybody. It's I was 37, 38 when I got diagnosed, and you're saying that you didn't get diagnosed early. You don't know the advantage that I've got now, and you're getting the scan, so you've got is afterwards we're going to know that we're okay. People like Nikki here, she's not had the MRI scans, the ECGs, the myoperfusion scans. I can't even name all the scans that I've had, and you've probably had the same things. But afterwards, we know that we're healthy. 99% of people out there don't know that, so all they can do is be as healthy as they can be.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah, if you're not showing any symptoms, or you're not pushing your body, so you're going to notice that something's going wrong. You just have to hope that that you're all good, I guess, and like you say, just keep yourself as healthy as possible. Because I was diagnosed, they then scanned my two children just to make sure, because I think it can be genetic. It was actually my nana actually had it, and so then passed it to me. Thanks. But luckily my children don't have it, so I can breathe sigh a breath of relief on that one.
My condition isn't thought to be hereditary, but there isn't enough research. It's like such a rare condition, there isn't enough research done to know that for certain. But I asked for my daughter to be checked because mental health wise, that would have put stress on me. And but no, she is clear. So great. Good. We both sorry, I can't talk now. We both know that we're clear. My wife doesn't know that, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's that's good. And now you've had your surgery, do you have any symptoms post-surgery, or do you feel completely normal?
I feel completely normal. The only it's not even a symptom of the condition. The only symptom that I had after surgery was I tried to run early. And when I say early, I went for my first run 2 weeks after surgery.
Oh my goodness.
The only symptom that I had was a pain in my chest, but it wasn't my heart. It was because the bones hadn't had a chance to merge back together yet. So
I imagine that's quite painful, actually. Probably more the broken ribs and the incision than anything else, I'd imagine.
You'll get good painkillers, I would imagine, hopefully.
Oh yeah, there's some wonderful painkillers.
Oh, good.
But the other thing, I had surgery 3 weeks before the first COVID lockdown, so it meant that things like physio, I wasn't able to get any physio because the physio department was closed down.
Oh, of course. So did you use YouTube and find?
I'm a self-coached runner, so I just self-coached myself and
amazing. Yeah.
Pushed my body harder than most people probably would, and
brilliant. Do you have to
have
any further surgeries, or now you've had
not
this?
Not that I know of. I had a follow-up a year. Well, I had various follow-ups throughout the year, and then I had a proper follow-up a year after surgery, and they said, no, you don't need to come back after that. As far as we're concerned, you've got a fully functioning heart. My condition means that my coronary artery is still in the wrong place, but it functions as if it was in the right place. So.
Oh, that's great. At least mentally, you got through the hardest part.
Yes.
and now you can just carry on with your life and rebuilding it and your body and running and everything like that. I'm actually going to be similar. They said because I'm having a titanium valve fitted and my aorta will be repaired. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan and my body takes to it all well, I shouldn't need another surgery in my lifetime, I hope.
Yeah. Well, what people have said to me, and it'll be exactly the same for you. Well, I didn't have anything put in. I just had plumbing rearranged.
Yeah.
You're getting a bit of a titanium, so think about
Yeah.
it like this: you are going to be part robot. So
Yes.
and
Bionic woman.
exactly, and you had a condition previously, and you're going to get amended. So
Mm.
whatever you were doing before, you were restricted. So just think about how strong you're going to be afterwards.
Yes, that's what I'm looking forward to actually, and I'm looking forward to starting running again once I'm fully healed and feeling what it actually feels like to be able to, like you say, function normally. Because whenever
Yeah.
I've ran, I've always had restricted blood flow and just not known about it.
Yeah, and you thought that was the normal, and now
I
your
did.
level is going to be higher. So you know, at least you hope so. You can push
Yeah.
yourself even harder. So
Yes, and if I do run another race, I might even be higher than 10th on the list.
When you got diagnosed at 20 and that all came through in the hospital, how's your family coped with that? Like you say, your parents and your brothers were very active, and then you've got the kids
Yeah.
as well. How did they all deal with that diagnosis?
They were quite shocked because they were like, how? Like I used to, I would run races when I was in secondary school and I would win by quite a long way. We'd do our school cross countries and I'd be sat back in the changing room for like 10 minutes before anyone else turned up. And so my parents are just like, how have you done that? But I guess just because you're born that way, my body knows no different. It just, especially when you're young as well, you can do so much more, can't you? But yeah, they were quite shocked by it. Then we realised that my nana had the same thing, but she didn't have her operation till she was in her 70s. So hers wasn't picked up either, I guess. But yeah, just shock, I think. And now they've seen that I'm fine as well, because they say to me even now, they're like, yeah, I know you're on the surgery list and what's facing you isn't nice, but you're okay, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. I can carry on with life. I just have to, if I feel the fatigue coming on and I feel tired, I just have to take a step back, let my body recover, and then I'm fine to go again.
So you're saying fatigue, do you get that on sort of daily activity, like doing the housework, or is
Yeah.
it when you're outside doing active?
So at first it was more when I was active. So I can't, if I was to go out and hike, say 6 miles now with 2,000 foot, say, I could do it, but then when I got back, I would probably wiped out maybe for about a week now. Whereas in the past, I could go and do that, and I could come back and go for a run, and next day get up and carry on and do all the housework, and so I definitely see a big decline on that front. But now I could go out and I could walk 3 miles, say, and maybe 1,000 feet, and I would maybe suffer for a day or two after. But in my mind, I would rather go and do that and suffer than not do anything at all, because it just drives me crazy. And
Yeah.
I think it's just my life, and I would just be lost without it, I think.
Yeah, as we said about being healthy, I think if you're not
Mhm.
doing anything, you're probably going to go into decline more because you're not being
Yeah.
active. You're keeping yourself fit.
Yeah, and mental health is a big thing, isn't it? And I feel like I've really suffered with that, actually, especially when I found out, when the surgeon actually said to me, no, we do need to operate now. It hit me really quite hard, but more so because I thought, oh no, it's going to take away my life. Like, what am I going to do with myself? Like, what? I don't know what else brings me happiness. So when he said, oh, no, you're fine, you can still walk, you just have to take it easy, I thought, well, that's fine. I can, as long as I can get out and I can walk, I can still enjoy the scenery. And I still get that boost, and you still get endorphins, you can still feel good. You just have to scale it back a bit.
And when you're out on your adventures, like you're saying about scaling back, a lot of the times we get told to be safe and take certain pieces of kit out with us. So you've got your basic, like what we would call mandatory kit. Is there anything extra that you have to do and take out with you in case, God forbid, something was to happen? Or
well, not really. I mean, I always make sure I have, like, say, the basic kit. So if anything was to happen, I would be warm. So I have all the kit that we take. I take some food with me. Usually something like, I quite like the Fulfill bars. Have you heard of those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I quite like those. So I'll make sure I have something if I feel a bit waffy. I could get a bit of a sugar boost. And to make sure I have water with me, make sure my phone's fully charged in case I need to ring anybody. But I usually, I have quite a big family around in the lake, so I always make sure I tell someone where I'm going, what I'm doing, how long I'm going to be, and just have to hope for the best, really.
as you say, though, you can't really live your life too much in fear because, as you say, mental health is such a big priority, and just getting out and getting the fresh air when you feel good for it, that's really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. I'll take the risk any day, to be honest. Just for mental health and to feel happy, and I guess when you're waiting for something big like that, like a major surgery, you don't want to be sat in the house dwelling over it and thinking, oh, what if this, and I know it's not very nice, but what if I didn't make it, or what if something happened to me? I don't want to live the next 6 months like that, almost being a prisoner to yourself. I'm like, no, I really want to fight for happiness, because it's, yeah, even if I did have 6 months left, there's no way I'm gonna sit here wasting the time unhappy. So I force myself out. I sort of have a fight with myself. I'm like, no, what are you doing now? Get out there. And I always feel so much better after, and glad that I get myself out.
Yeah. The thing with, I'm quite happily talking to people about having a condition, because for me, it is sort of my condition. If I can use that to help other people by saying, go out and get fit, if you've got any symptoms, go and see a doctor. If I can get that message forward, then it makes me having the condition seem worthwhile if it helps somebody else do it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why I'm quite happy to use my Instagram page. It's got quite a few followers on there now, that I've built up over the years. And I've started posting a little bit about what it's like living with the condition, and just adding bits in here and there, especially with the British Heart Foundation suggesting that we may work together in the future. I just think it's good to get it out there, and if I can help anybody else, like you say, in the same situation, and let them know that it's not nice to deal with mentally, but you can fight against it, and you can actually find happiness during that really scary time. You just have to switch your mindset. Almost get angry with yourself and like, no, we're not going to sit here and get upset. We're going out.
I think the raising awareness as well is so important, because not only does it give people with any congenital heart condition hope that people like yourself might get out there and can still, don't even have to be a runner or anything. You can go out and just go for short walks, even if it's round the block and you're not very active to begin with. Just go outside in the garden and get some air about you. And
even just 10 minutes round the block, a flat walk, just the fresh air, it gives you such a boost, I think. It doesn't have to be anything big and crazy, not at all. Just 10 minutes walking every day, I think can just make a big difference to everything.
And you mentioned British Heart Foundation. Is there anyone else that's approached you for working with to raise and spread that word of awareness?
Yes, so there's a company local to me here in the Lakes called Lake District Jewelry, and it's a girl that I've just been in contact with. She makes her own jewelry based on the iconic views around the Lake District. So she makes like rings that are in the shape of cat bells, and she said to me, would I be interested in promoting her jewelry, and in return she will give a percentage of the sales to the British Heart Foundation. So I thought, oh, that's brilliant, because it's raising awareness, it's giving back to the life-saving research that they provide, and also the jewelry is amazing, so it sort of helps everyone out, really.
The other thing that we found out, we'd arranged this interview, but we found out it's actually Congenital Heart Awareness Week, so the timing is perfect.
Brilliant. Yeah, I know, you couldn't write that one, could you? Oh, that's great.
So back to activities, because that's what the podcast is. It's not really, it's about us, well, you. When you're out on your adventures, what kind of, you mentioned, was it for fuel bars? Is there anything else that you take with you fuel-wise?
No, well, I've tried various gels in the past, and these little cubes that you could take. I can't remember what the name of them is, but I've never really liked them that much. I think my body works better off proper food. So I just make sure that I have something really decent before I go, and I prefer to have a banana maybe instead of like a gel, and also maybe one of these fulfill bars. I think they definitely give me enough boost, I would say. And because I'm not doing masses of miles, I know that a lot of people do rely on gels, don't they? And I actually, one time I ran the Kentmere Horseshoe, and I was starting to feel a little bit weak towards the end, and my friend gave me a gel, and that was beneficial, to be fair. But yeah, if it was my choice, I would rather have something more like a fulfill bar or banana.
The blocks that you can't remember, probably Cliff shot blocks.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. I find them, if you've been either pushing really hard or running for a long time and you just can't stand eating, they go down quite easily, because they just dissolve in your mouth.
Yeah, because I guess you might feel a bit nauseous, I'd imagine. I've learnt this actually off my son. Not that he goes for miles, because he's only 11, but he often can feel a bit nauseous if he's pushed himself to the limit, and he can't stand the smell or sight of any proper food for about half an hour, which I thought, oh, that makes sense why people have the gels and the blocks. Are just easier, aren't they?
I think it's something you got to remember for somebody of that age. Their legs are half the size of your legs, so they're doing double the amount of steps.
That's true. Yeah,
it might not feel like miles, but they've done double what you're doing. So
very true. Yeah.
And with your various activities over the years, even from childhood with the family, is there any big adventures that you've had that stand out, whether it be a formal event or just something to get out?
Fun. Well, I always said to myself when I started running, I thought, I always look up at the horseshoes, and Kentmere was one that I was always like, I really would love to run that one day. So I built myself up strong enough, and I thought, right, today's the day, and I just went and ran the horseshoe. So I felt so proud of myself. That was like a big like achievement to me. And also, one thing that I really wanted to do was, because this whole thing started off because of my dad, I thought I would really love to be able to run some mountains with my dad. And so I have done that. He got me up at something like 5 a.m. I felt sick. And he was like, right, come on, we're going to go and run up Red Screes. And so we made it up there and we watched the sunrise together. And that's like a real sort of standout moment to me. So going forward after my surgery, I would love to be able to run with Dad again and stand at the top of a mountain and watch the sunrise and then run down together. So that's like my goal at the moment.
I think that's a very admirable, good target. I remember being in the hospital and they said, "Oh, what are your targets?" And they were talking about running because they'd obviously talked about that. And I told them that, okay, my target is to do a 30-mile run, or I can't remember if it's 30 miles or a marathon by the end of the year. And surgery was in February, so I had almost a year.
Yeah.
But actually, in my head I was doing a 100-miler by the end of the year, and I did it 11 weeks after surgery. So,
oh wow, that's amazing.
Aim high. That's all I can say. You're more capable than you think you are.
Yes, do you know what? That is amazing. That's going to give me some motivation. That. Yeah, that's great. Did you feel okay afterwards as well? Did you recover normally?
I felt like I hadn't been training up and like I had stopped sort of properly running. I can't remember, 6 months before the surgery. I felt like I had lack of training, but I was slower. I knew that I hadn't trained properly.
Yeah.
But I did it, and that was the mental side of things. It was proving to myself that I could still do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You just, in my head, I'm like, right, once I've done this surgery, I'm going to do it for myself, and I'm going to make sure I run up Red Screes and back down again. Yeah, that's the goal.
Well, even if you have to walk, crawl, whatever, as long as you know that you're trying, I think that's the main thing.
Definitely. And infell running as well, actually, because it is so steep, I think you can get away with still calling it a run if you fast walk up and then run down. So yeah.
Nikki will tell you that you're allowed to do that on flats as well.
Yeah.
If you've got a pair of trail shoes on, it's a trail run in my opinion.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Whether it be 50 metres or 500 or whatever.
Yeah.
When you're going up your hills and out your activities and your runs, what do you generally think about to get you through?
I think usually I'm so blown away by the views that I'm almost taken into a different world. Sounds a bit extreme, but and I sort of think, I usually think about how lucky I am to be there, how lucky I am that I'm still able to be doing it. And to be honest, I think I often have thoughts of how happy it makes me and how amazing this life is. And just feel free in that time. That's tend to be what I think about.
It's good just to get up the hills and just to, it sounds really bizarre, but to hear the quiet just of the wind. There's no one else. If you're fortunate enough to walk midweek, there's not very many walkers out or runners on the hills.
No, that's it.
And it's so still and it's just amazing.
I think that's why I often think that it's like entering into another world, because there isn't anybody for miles. And you can just, like say, you can hear and feel the wind on your face. You can hear the birds. It's just brings you peace, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And being out in peace, as you're saying, I know that I've been out in situations which have been stupid. I've quite happily admit you shouldn't do them, being up on, for us it's Monroe's, but for you it'd be Wainwright's, I guess. Being up in there in conditions, I've been out in conditions that I shouldn't have been,
Yeah.
on my own, not seeing anybody all day. If something had happened because I had a condition that at the time I didn't know about, I
Mhm.
wouldn't be here.
Mm.
Have you been in any situations like that that you think about now?
Let me think. I think I've probably actually been quite sensible when I think about it. The last sort of big adventure that I had before I was told that now I need surgery, was on Coniston Old Man. We did a round, and it was really thick snow and ice, and it probably could have gone wrong, because it got very dark very quickly when we were at the top, and because it's complete whiteout, it's harder to navigate, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I was with somebody, so every time I've done something that might be, like, my parents might say, "Is that what are you doing that for?" I've always been with someone, so I've never really put myself at risk like that. Still done silly things, but in company.
Well, you're more sensible than me. Well done.
Those are the best adventures, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all good fun, isn't it?
You mentioned earlier about your goal is to go out running with your dad. A
Yes.
question that we ask people, have you got anybody that you would sort of dream about going for a run, an adventure with, either alive,
Yes.
not, or fictional or not? Yeah.
Well, I think to me, my dad is my hero, and so I think I would just love to be able to run with dad again, and also to be able to run with my son Charlie, although I have no chance of keeping up with him. But to be able to run with both of them together would just be amazing to me. So hopefully, if I go in for surgery at the end of summer, I'm not sure whether to say by the end of the year is too soon or not. I don't know, but going off what you said though,
Yep.
and what you've done, then it's not unachievable, I guess. So yeah, to be able to run with them too and stand at the top of one of the mountains and watch the sunrise, that would be, that would just be perfect for me.
And are you going to use as motivation when you're halfway up the hill and they tell you you're tired, you say, well, I've done it and I've got a heart condition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely going to rub that in everyone's face.
Use it for your weapons. Yeah.
Oh, I will. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, when if Charlie says he's tired or complains that he has to go to training, which he rarely does, I'll definitely be pulling that out of the bag.
Good.
So moving beyond that, even into the likes of next year when you'll be fully recovered, have you got any big goals, dreams, like of rounds, anything that you've got your heart set on?
Yeah, well, we absolutely, as a family, we absolutely love Scotland, and my dad had mentioned that once I'm fully recovered, we should go and start hiking Munros.
Yes.
So, yes, so I think that's going to be my first goal, is to be able to stand at the top of one of the Munros, I think. And then after that, if I can run and race again, I always wanted to run the Ring of Steel. I don't know why, but it was just like a standout race to me that I just think, whoa, I would just love to get round that. So it's a bit of a setting the bar high here, but I would love to be able to run the Ring of Steel one day as well. Yeah.
And has your dad done the Munros as well?
Has my dad done them, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done a few when we were kids. We've done a few. I'm not sure which ones we did now. Because also back when we were kids, social media wasn't a thing, and we didn't even really take pictures either. So now when people say, "Oh, what have you done?" I'm like, "Well, I've done everything, but I have no evidence."
If it's not on Strava, did it count?
I know. So now I have to start completely from scratch.
That'll be good then, that he can tell you which ones are be the good ones to start off with. Mike's
Yes.
got quite a lot of experience in a few of them. I've done 10 so far.
Oh, well, I'll be messaging you then.
So pick our brains away.
Oh yeah, I will. I'll be messaging you and asking for info for sure.
Well, I think if you're wanting to set something that is definitely achievable, go for one of the ones at Glenshee, because you're
Okay.
more or less parked at the ski centre and you're more or less halfway up. You can take all day just to get up. It's basically
Yeah.
a ski run's worth. So that would be,
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
even now, I think you could achieve it.
Yes, and and also is the coffee at the bottom waiting? Then that's always like a good.
Depending on the time of year, and I'm not
Uh-huh.
saying how good the cafe there is,
Oh,
good or bad. It might be excellent, but yeah.
Oh well, maybe I'll let you know how it is.
Leading on from that, what's next? You've got surgery at some time. You haven't got a date yet, as far as I know.
No, yeah, so I don't have a date. I'm placed on the list, and yeah, he said it's currently up to 6 months, which from when he told me is actually July. But I have said we've got a big family holiday in August, and so I said if haven't deteriorated any further and it's safe for me to do so, can I delay the surgery? And thinking of my children as well, I thought if they're off during summer, it won't be great. I'd rather they were in school in routine, and I can just sort of disappear without telling them, and then hopefully they'll just be told after that I'm fine and they can come and see me. So I'm thinking September time, hopefully. Hopefully get in and get out as quick as possible. And then it will be rebuilding myself, I guess, building myself back up and feeling what it's like to have a fully normal functioning heart as well. Apparently you have to get used to hearing a tick because it's titanium. When it's really quiet, you can hear it ticking away, which might drive me mad. But I think eventually your brain gets used to it and you don't hear it any longer. So
Just think, some people run to a metronome, so you've got a built-in metronome. So
yeah, I can have it.
You sound like you've got an amazing support around you to help you with that recovery. So there'll be no doubt that you'll be back up and active again in no time.
Yes, I am very lucky. I have my parents and my 2 brothers as well, and they have all said that they're going to be there for me and my kids 100%. And yeah, they said not to worry about anything. They're just going to sort everything out for me. So I'm very lucky. Yeah, I have a really great support. So
that's amazing.
It helps. Yeah.
Well, I think we're going to end it there today, and I just say it has been fantastic talking to you, Laura, and everybody listening. I'm going to speak for them. We all wish you the best of luck. Hopefully your surgery will happen at a time that suits you, but everything will go well.
Yes.
And thanks, Nikki, for being Nikki. Thank you, Laura, for joining us today, and thanks everybody for listening. And
thank you.
Goodbye from me.
Thanks so much.